the inordinate amount of pieces, that they have. You got a Tyler Hero who's a shot maker. You have Khalil Ware, who's a 7'2" dude that can shoot threes. You got Jaime Jaquez, he can play. And you got 3 first-round picks. That's a lot. And so none of them are better than Jaylen Brown. We all know that. But in the same breath, Jaylen Brown, MVP candidate, no doubt. Big-time player, no doubt. 6 conference finals appearances, 2 NBA finals appearances, NBA champion, and NBA finals MVP, no doubt. They just got bounced out in the first round. And so if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, having another all-star as your definitive #1 option, well, hell, you just had that in Giannis. Where did that get you? And so you have to look at it from a different lens. And I think that's the important part. There's other things to say about Jaylen Brown, but I'll wait to say that after Perk and Vinny answer this particular question. Then I got a few things to say about Jaylen Brown a bit more extensively.
Go ahead, Vinny.
Well, when you look at the structure of today's NBA, Jaylen Brown's going to be up for an extension in a couple of months. 2 years, $140 million. The Bucks will be on the hook for that if they wound up taking in Jaylen Brown. And are you structured where you can afford a $70 million player if you don't have much else around him, considering Giannis couldn't carry that roster beyond where they were? Granted, Giannis only played 36 games. They had a lot of questions, upheaval, period, right? Draft capital. When you get Tyler Hero, who they can flip, right? Khalil Ware, who's a good young piece. Jaime Jaquez, a good young piece, plus the 13th pick in this draft that they can flip 13 and 10. You can move up. You can get yourself in a position where you're a lot more flexible now. I think the Celtics got a bigger question to ask themselves. What is our future with Jaylen Brown? Jaylen Brown got to ask himself, what's my future there? Are y'all going to offer me this extension? If y'all do, am I going to take it? If y'all don't, y'all shop me for Giannis Antetokounmpo after I won an NBA Finals MVP, after I carried you to 60 wins this year. Yeah, the playoffs didn't end the way he wanted it to end, but he's probably feeling pretty unappreciated here. It seems like that's headed for a divorce more so than did the Milwaukee Bucks make a mistake by not taking him.
Look, did the Bucks make a mistake? No. You gotta get back what you got back from the Miami Heat when you give up a generational player like Giannis Antetokounmpo. Brad Stevens dropped the ball. He didn't make it attractive enough. You got to throw in some more young players. You got to find a way to throw in some more picks. You got to make that attractive. It can't just be basically somewhat of an even swap for Jaylen Brown. That do not cut the mustard, obviously, as we can see. Now, I will say this. It's nothing about Jaylen Brown performance on the floor that's got him in trade talks. It's his damn mouth. It's his mouth. It's the streaming. It's the podcast that got them ready to move the needle and get Jaylen Brown out of Boston. My thing is this, and I've been telling this, and let's say you tell me how you feel about it. Damn it, you may feel the same way. As a player, in locker rooms, 2008, whether it was with Oklahoma City or whatever it was, I'd be damned if we had somebody in there podcasting. You can't trust them. You can't trust them. The trust factor is gone. We don't know if you're going to say something. We don't know if you're going to break a secret. We don't know if you're going to tell her something that we didn't have in the film study. I'm telling you straight up, the things he said after they got bounced about this being the best season was, damn it, basically a shot at Jason Tatum, in my opinion.
He said it was his favorite season.
His favorite season.
He says favorite season. Favorite season. Let me say this. Let me chime in, Vinny. Number one, I don't want to go that far, Big Perk, in terms of the condemnation of a player having a podcast, because I will say this about Draymond Green. He talks a lot. He has a lot to say. At no time do I ever recall him, correct me if I'm wrong, Vinny, at no time do I ever recall him betraying any trust in the locker room. I've never seen that from Draymond Green. And so because of that, I'm only saying that to say, even though it would be a concern, Perk, you would know that better than me, and I understand that. The point is that we got to give credit where credit is due to some players who have a microphone and a camera and a podcast and still honor the code amongst the players inside the locker room. I got to give credit where credit is due in that regard. No subtle shots or anything like some other people might do with their shows and their podcasts, with the shuttle shots that are players in the league and trying to make moves, using their podcast to do it. I won't say any names. You understand? But it ain't hard to figure out who the hell does that. All right, but it ain't Draymond Green. Okay, it ain't Draymond Green. Let's get that out the way. Let me get to Jaylen Brown because it's important to say this, and I hope he's watching. One of the things we're not going to do, bro, is we're not going to let you sit around and act like you a victim. We ain't going to do that. We ain't letting Jaylen Brown get away with that. I heard what he said, people doubting him and, that's just creating a monster, whatever. Who did that this year? You were all world. You were an MVP candidate. We've spent day after day, Shay's a witness, Vinny's a witness, Big Perk's a witness. There isn't a single soul that watched Jaylen Brown perform this year and didn't talk about, that brother's won. He's a one. He's shown it. He's proven it. To sign for $300 million, to have this bag, to have the pressure on you that now you don't have to Jason Tatum to defer to. You got to carry it yourself. And we watched you carry a relatively no-name Boston Celtics.
Thay đổi mỗi ngày, chúng tôi khơi nguồn cảm hứng cho cuộc sống. Kiến tạo.
Where's coming from about people doubting you. Nah, bro, that's not what this is, because there's nothing about your game that anybody is saying. Big Perk, if I remember correctly, wasn't it you that went on national television and said that Jaylen Brown was arguably the best two-way player in the entire league? Vinny, didn't you co-sign that and talk about what this brother brings to the table? I know Wendy has. I know I did. I know I went off on a damn referee wanting his ass suspended for ejecting Jaylen Brown when he went up against Wembanyama because we wanted to see that brother go up against Wemby. So don't come with all of that noise. Nobody's sitting up there talking about Jaylen Brown that way, about his game. What we said was, since he is hesitant to remind the world about it, is that as a Boston Celtic, the most storied franchise in basketball annals, as a Boston Celtic who is a champion and an NBA Finals MVP, who has been to 6 conference finals and 2 NBA finals, for the most storied franchise in basketball annals, what we said was, less than 24 hours after losing a 3-1 lead and bowing out in the first round to the Philadelphia 76ers, you went on camera of your own volition and called it your favorite season. That's what we said. That was a problem. And Boston Celtics fans, locally and everywhere, have been going off about that, and they've lost love for Jaylen Brown because they're like, that ain't the standard. Jaylen Brown wouldn't have said that all of those other years. Why would you say that this year? While Jason Tatum is sitting on the bench for that Game 7, when you didn't have his help, while Jason Tatum was sitting up there recovering from a torn Achilles throughout the season and missing the first 60 to 62 games. That's why it was your favorite year. You did that, bro. Not me, not Perk, not KG, not Paul Pierce, not Vince Goodwill, not Brian Windhorst, not Iman Shumpert, not Jay Williams. Nobody did that. Jaylen Brown did that. Nobody even asked him. Think about that. Well, like some reporter had him up at the podium, Shay, okay, and sat up there and said, well, was this your favorite season? Or something? Nobody asked him. Nobody. This man went in some tomb where he was doing his damn podcast, okay, or dungeon or whatever the hell you want to call it, and he sat up there in front of the camera. You're less than 24 hours. This is not a month later. This is not 2 months later. This is fresh. Less than 24 hours after the Boston Celtics franchise was home in the first round, which is something that Jaylen Brown had trained them not to be accustomed to experiencing because he was helping to carry them to the conference finals damn near practically every year. This man went on his podcast and said, yo, It was my favorite season. He did that. So you can try that noise all you want to about pointing at everybody else, talking about everybody talking about you. We ain't got nothing but love and praise for your game. What we said was, yo, Boston Celtic fans ain't going to like that one. That's going to come back to haunt you. And that's why Brad Stevens, yeah, it was before then. They probably figured they weren't good enough. They probably had to make a move. But when you say something like that, under those conditions, what you're saying is what Perk alluded to. I don't want to be 1A. I don't want to be the stepbrother. I don't want to be the little brother or number 2 option. I want to be a number 1. I want my own team. Brad Stevens knows it, and that's why they're trying to move you. That's on you, bro. This ain't about basketball. It's about your mindset and the message that you sent that really you don't want to play the role that you're playing, which, by the way, is not a crime because you are a number 1 in this league, and you deserve that kind of praise. But don't act like we doing it. That's you.
So what Stephen A. is referring to here, too, is I believe Sunday he went on a stream on Twitch and essentially was talking with someone and said, I'm paraphrasing, I'm hearing everyone talk, but you're awaking a monster. And I'm hearing people talk I don't want to hear talk. And I think that's what Stephen A. obviously is